If you're watching, if you hear me, put a one in the chat so I can know that my mic sounds good, that you can hear me, that you're there. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome. I try to do a live in my Elites Ladies Society group, but Facebook is weird. They don't do lives when you're in a group. So I just decided to come over here and want to do a live. Um, because I'm not sure if I can do a live. I'm not sure if I am going live tomorrow. And then I just wanted to have a conversation about the dating climate, about what's going on, right? I wanted to talk to about these dating skits and these lists that are going around, and how women are shooting themselves in the foot by yeah, I was natural for about 2 years after when I first got into remission from cancer. I was natural, and then I was like, yeah, forget that. I got tired of having to detangle my hair every single morning. So, plus, I like being blonde. I just like being blonde. I blondes have more fun, and it's always sunny in Florida, so blonde suits me for the weather better. But anyway, so I wanted to have a conversation about the current social media trend that's going on, where women are hopping on social media and they're talking about their dating. They're doing these dating skits, and then there's these lists going around where these women don't want to be taken on dates. Now, I'm not here to tell a woman what type of date she should or should not want to go on. But what this is telling me is that women are not attracting high caliber men. And so there is this heightened sense of anxiety and fear that what they want, what they feel they need, is not going to be met, that they're meeting men who will not cherish them. So what women are signaling is that they want to be cherished, right? That's what a woman needs, that especially a feminine woman needs a man to cherish her, be considerate of her thoughts and her feelings. And so when a woman has to preempt and focus so heavily on that, where now she's engaged in manipulation and now she's trying to lead from the bottom, that's signaling that she's not getting her needs met, right? So she's not meeting high caliber men, she's meeting low caliber men. All of these conversations are geared towards and around men in the lower socioeconomic classes, right? Men who were raised in two-parent households and they were raised in good families, their father was an integral part in their upbringing and shaping their manhood. You don't see them uh trying to just take a woman just any old place to have sex with her. Like, he is going to be considerate of her. So marriage minded men are going to have some consideration for where he's taking a woman. He's going to be thoughtful and considerate. That's marriage minded men. Well, you know who is not marriage minded? Men in the lower socioeconomic classes. They are not marriage minded. So women are trying to get something out of men who just don't have it in them. That's not something that they want to do. A man does not want to take you to a high-end restaurant or for a nice experience or to an event. He wants to take you where he wants to take you because that's his goal, which is to get what he wants quick, fast, and hurry without much fuss. And for the men who are going to say, well, I'm going to take a woman to coffee, you are operating from a lack mindset. So all of this is coming from lack mindsets, fear, and anxiety, right? Because if it's the woman you truly want, you're not going to mess up and risk not getting a second date by taking her to Starbucks. Let's just face it. A lot of men are dealing with women that they don't really want. And so she's not his first choice. So since she's not his first choice, he's like, I'm not going to really put the effort in. And then a lot of women are understanding that and they want to be seen as the first choice, but you're not going to be the first choice for a lot of men. But you can become someone's first choice. And by being his first choice, you don't have to worry about that. So it's either you're not someone's first choice or you're not meeting the caliber of men who are just, they're moving how they move. So uh, men typically take women to places they're comfortable at, they frequent themselves, right? Unless he is dating a woman that's out of his league. So a lot of women think that the men that they're talking to is out of their league, when in fact he's already determined that you're not out of his league, right? So if he's offering you coffee and drinks, he's already determined you're not a woman who is he's out of her league. You are a woman that is actually essentially in the same lane as him. But I will tell you, high caliber, high quality men, marriage minded men, men who are looking for marriage, are not going to offer coffee, Starbucks for a first date, unless it's like an intricate coffee shop or something like that. I know there are a lot of men who say, "Oh, I'll do coffee," and they look great on paper. But I'm telling you, after talking to these men are coming from a fearful or anxious, avoidant mindset, meaning their attachment style. They have an insecure attachment style, right? Men who have a secure attachment style are focused on making it a good date for the for the both of them. But he is going to be very considerate of the woman. So if he's offering you coffee on the first date, you know what you're getting. But if you're being offered coffee, that says more about you than it does about the man. And that's what this conversation is about. I'm not really focused on why they're offering you coffee. I'm focused on the fact that, why are you the woman who's getting offered coffee? Right? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought, why are you the woman who's being offered coffee or Chili's or Applebee's? Right? I don't know any high caliber man that's really going to go to a Chili's and Applebee's. Let's just face it, the menu and the food quality is just not good at all. So men who have a refined palate, they enjoy food, they enjoy good experiences. They're not going to places like Applebee's, Chili's, and Olive Garden, because the inconsistency, even Cheesecake Factory, and I love Cheesecake Factory, but the inconsistency of the quality of food is why they won't take you to those places. But you have to be a woman who qualifies for a man who cares about what he puts in his body, who cares about his experiences, who cares enough about himself that he wants to share in these experiences with a woman. So if you are not that woman, then you have to ask yourself, why? What what are you doing that you are not attracting the type of man that when he sees you and he gets to know you for a little bit, and when it comes time to take you on the first date, why are you not the woman that he is taking to STKs? Right? He's going to take to Nobu. He's going to take to Hyde Park. He's going to take to the local prominent steakhouse, Eddie V's or Capitol Grill, right? Why aren't you that woman? Why aren't you that somebody? Right? So a lot of women are operating in ego, and they're looking at this and they're looking and they're saying, "Well, I'm deserving of this because what? Sure, you're attractive, but what else do you have to offer, right? What else do you have to offer a man with value, a man who has the highest value on the dating market? He can get beautiful women like nothing, like there is no tomorrow. He can get beautiful, attractive women like there is no tomorrow. So what do you have to offer him besides you're pretty, right? And if he's going to take you out because you're pretty, then you know what you're getting. You're getting a guy who just wants a trophy girl on his arm, right? So, what value are you adding for him to say, you know what, this woman is a woman that I really want to get to know. I want to really focus on seeing what she's about, and let's have a good time. So, what does it take for you to get to being that woman? There are some keys, and there are some things like, I don't think women are ready for that conversation, but I'm going to attempt to try to have the conversation. Um, One is, you do have to be attractive to him, right? He can get but that's not all, but he can get attractive women. That's not a problem for a man of means, a man of substance. That's not a problem. But you do need to be attractive, right? You need to be physically appealing. Your body needs to be appealing. You need to have some sex appeal, because you just being a good dowdy girl next door is not going to work. All men want the hot woman. Now there's levels to being hot. You don't have to be hot and trashy and slutty, but you could just be hot in your confidence and in who you are and how you carry yourself, right? Knowing how to dress well, knowing how to apply your makeup well, your how do you style your hair. All of those things can make you hot to a man, right? So that's the first one, but that is a given. That's just a given. Second is your femininity, right? They want a feminine woman. They want a woman who has soft skills, a woman who knows how to utilize those soft skills and exhibit those soft skills, and can you know uh have exhibit those in an appropriate manner. So they want a woman who is intelligent, right? They also want a woman who is going to be useful to them, right? So they're looking for so there's not a lot of very attractive women. So there's just, I'm gonna give you the woman that they all really want. They want the woman who has an 8, 9, 10 in the face and in the body, and she's kind and she's sweet and she's considerate and she's all about him, right? She's easy to get along with. She might, and that's it. But as long as he can look at her, he can have great sex with her, that's what they really want in a woman. But those women don't really exist in abundance. Women who are 8, 9s, and 10s in the face and in the body, they're unicorns. But men are more practical and pragmatic, so they are accepting of what they can actually get. And what they can actually get is women who are 7s, 6s, and 5s. And but what is happening is, if you are underneath an 8, if you are below an 8, they are expecting you to come with a lot more value, right? So that's where you get into what can you offer. The conversation about what does a woman bring to the table. Women don't like that conversation. You don't really have to have that conversation with a man, but you need to have that conversation with yourself. What do you offer a man who already has added so much value to himself, to others, to society, to the community, and all those, and everyone around him? He's added so much value. You see the value. What do you bring to that man that he can't give for himself? Have that conversation with yourself. What can you give him that he can't give himself, right? That he can't really get in the market. So, one is your femininity. There's just not a lot of feminine women out here. So but he is going to expect that. That is something that he can't do for himself. Men who are successful and doing well for themselves, they tend to operate mostly in their masculine energy. So there are some attributes and some traits that come with being a feminine woman that he can appreciate: the soft skills, the softness, the kindness, the caring, the consideration, the creativeness, right? The creative side. Um, Being a good manager, right? Being a good supporter. Being able to, being the woman that he can see is going to take care of his household and his children. So you have to be intelligent too. Like I started off, being useful. Usefulness is something that is going to be huge. What can you do to make his life easier? If you go in with that mindset of, I want to do things that's going to make this man's life easier, I guarantee you are going to be headed down the aisle of matrimony. This is not a man that's going to play around with you, because he's seeing that you are useful. A useful woman is not a woman that's easily discarded, right? So you are useful in the way of your intelligence. You're useful in a way of, whether if you have a network, your ability to network, your cooking and cleaning skills, right? Whether or not he can hire help, but the fact that you want to do these things to take a load off of his plate, or the ability to hire help, knowing how to hire people, meaning you don't have to turn to him for everything, right? You are showing that you're smart, you're useful, you're competent, and you're capable. That is what you bring to a man who has so much value, has created so much value for himself. You make his life easier. And then you're kind and you're sweet, so that when he's around you, he feels like he's walking on air, like he could just relax, right? He doesn't have to deal with any arguing, any drama. He could just, when he's around you, he wants to be around you because you are his, yeah, you bring a sense of peace to his already chaotic world. So it's peace, just having a sense and aura of peacefulness, meaning whatever drama you have, you work that out within yourself. You know how to resolve conflicts. You are a reasonable person to where you can determine if this is worth fighting for or not. You pick and choose your battles wisely. If there is a conversation that needs to be had about something, he understands why you're having that conversation. He's willing to have it. But if you're just throwing things out there and you're just being disagreeable and argumentative just to be disagreeable and argumentative, he's it's you have a date on when he is going to let you go. So all of these things about all of these this game that people are out here teaching you and they're talking to you about, I can tell you and I can guarantee you they're not really dealing with high caliber men. They're not really dealing with the men that women say that they want. Because high caliber men, one, do not play games. I'm just like, high value men do not play games, right? They're not appreciative of women who play games. So if you're thinking that you're going to play your way into being into a relationship and being married, you're either setting yourself up for a scam artist, a narcissist, or a man who is a chump. He's a weak man, meaning he's going to allow you to lead him by the nose. He's going to do whatever it is that you want to say, that basically you're going to be following him, but it's going to be in a underhanded, coverted way. If that's what you want, then fine. No problem. I'm not going to tell you you should want that. But if you could be happy with those men, that's fine. But if that's not what you want, then you don't play those games. You have to take stock in who you are being as a woman, and then the type of men that you're trying to attract. So playing games with these men, no, that is not going to work. They value authentic women. Who you are being is who you are showing them. That's who you are. And authenticity comes from within. It doesn't come from putting on acts and just doing the right things or saying the right things. When you are an authentic person, you will move in that. Right? So if you're an authentically kind person, you'll be kind. That doesn't mean you're a doormat. Being kind does not mean you're a doormat. Being kind does not mean that you don't have any boundaries, that people walk all over you. That's not what kindness is. I am a kind, compassionate person, but I have very strong boundaries. And if you're the type of person that's going to take advantage of my kindness, I want nothing to do with you. I will let go and walk away and not think twice. And that's either romantically, personally, professionally, even in families. I don't deal with people who try to take advantage of my kindness, because I'm going to move in trying to do what is best for others, do what's best for myself and do what's best for others. But I'm not going to allow myself to be taken advantage of, right? So don't get caught up in people saying, "Oh, you're not a kind person because you're telling me no." Nope, they're trying to gaslight you, right? So be a kind person. Be a considerate person. Always show that you're considerate through your communications, right? Not over talking. Keeping your word is a huge way to show that you're considerate. Being interested shows that you're considerate. Showing that you value his time, you value and appreciate who he is as a man and what he does and how hard he has worked to get to where he's at. Those things go a long way, right? Don't show up and deal with a man as if you're doing him a favor. And I know there's some rhetoric about how that's how women should operate. No, 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 no. You're setting yourself up for a narcissist. Let me tell you, narcissistic men love breaking women like that. They love attempting to break women like that. And what these women are not telling you is that they're getting with narcissistic men who are making their lives miserable. But because they have all of these things, he's buying a Chanel bag and he's doing this and he's doing X, Z, and shut off on social media, but deep down inside, she is miserable. So don't play games because she's going to attract the wrong type of man. So being kind, being considerate, when you are authentically that, it just comes out. And good men are not trying to take advantage of good, kind, considerate men. If you meet a good man and he is bypassing you, then you have to ask yourself, are you really truly a kind and considerate person? Have you done the shadow work and the development to where that's all able to come out? Because a lot of women are struggling because they don't know how to be vulnerable. That's why you can't showcase how kind you are. That's why you can't showcase how considerate you are and how sweet you are, because you have not been allowed, you have not been able to be vulnerable. And the reason why you haven't been able to be vulnerable is because you're choosing the wrong men, or the way that you live your life makes everything so hard, right? So you want to tap into your feminine energy and allow yourself to focus on you be healing yourself, becoming happy and healthy and whole, and being able to tap into your feminine energy. Because all of this talk about, oh, you dress like this, you talk like this, and you move like this, and you smell like, and you do all this, those are just the outcomes of feminine energy, tapping into your femininity. Those are just the outcomes. So they're not really teaching you how to truly be feminine, they're just telling you how to act feminine. My channel and what I do in educating and training women is focused on helping you to actually tap into your feminine energy. And that comes with a whole mindset transformation. And if you're not able to be vulnerable, then there are some blocks there. There means there is some unhealed trauma that you have not dealt with. And that takes you getting into therapy. And I know a lot of people think that therapy does not work, but therapy does work. I wouldn't be able to sit here, the woman that I am, if I was not in therapy. And I first started therapy when I was 13 years old. And trust me, I'm not perfect. I didn't come from a perfect life or a perfect background, perfect existence. I had stuff happen to me, and I've had horrible, horrible things happen to me. I went through a very, very, very traumatic divorce. Went from being totally in love, us loving each other, to now having to sit across a man who sees me as his enemy and hates me. And having to go through that process was very, very devastating for me. But I had turned to my therapist to help heal that, because I didn't think that I would ever find love again, be able to love like that, or find a, be with a man that loved me in the way that he did. But going through therapy here and then going through what I went through was like, it's like my therapist is like, I can't believe you're even like you haven't just shut down or even given up hope on love, because it was a very, 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 very tumultuous divorce. And but I got through it. And once I realized that I was able to get through it, and therapy was essential in that, therapy and my faith was essential in that, I'm here to tell you, I can sit here and say therapy works. You need to have something. If it's therapy or faith, or if it's a combination of both, you need that in order to help with your healing journey. Watching all these videos, even just watching my videos is not going to be enough. And high caliber, high value men can sniff that out. And you know who else can sniff that out? Narcissistic men. They love damaged women as well. They love anyone that they can take advantage of and try to manipulate. They love those type of women. Why? Because they're easier to control and manipulate. So if you're wondering why you're meeting all these horrible, awful men, and you're having all these horrible, awful experiences, men who just want to use you, men who just want to take from you, it's because you have not done the shadow work. You have not done the development work to where you feel confident enough to set boundaries and stand firm on your boundaries. Because you might set them, but then the guy says something, and then all of a sudden you're sacrificing, right? Or you're sacrificing them, or you're not setting any at all. You need boundaries in this dating game. I don't care what anyone tells you. If you're dealing with a guy who says, oh, you don't need boundaries, trust me and believe, he's a narcissist. He doesn't want to make it hard to be able to control you. Boundaries are not about protecting you. Boundaries are about you establishing what you want and what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like. Boundaries are for the purpose of establishing how someone should treat you, right? That's just simply, boundaries aren't there to keep the right person out. Boundaries are there to say, listen, this is how I want to be treated. So they're not going to keep everybody out. What's going to happen is, once you exert a boundary, you assert a boundary and you say, hey, that's what you're doing right there. It's not something I'm comfortable with. I don't like. A good man is going to say, oh, you know what? My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I apologize. It won't happen again, or whatever. They're gonna, be able to have a conversation. A toxic, dysfunctional man is going to get offended. And then what happens when he gets offended? The woman usually then says, "Oh, well, maybe I'm the one in the wrong." So then she sacrifices it. She backs down from it, right? You have a boundary, right? Or even your standards, right? You have a standard for how you engage in the getting to know you phase, the dating phase, and all those other things, right? But then a guy doesn't want to honor that. So then he tries to manipulate you through conversation and through his words into sacrificing your standards, making you feel like you're being unreasonable. If you know that in your heart that you're not being unreasonable, like, and how do you know you're not being unreasonable? Your standards are set in stone. No matter who's in front of you, no matter the guy, no matter the circumstances, it is what it is. This is how you move. That is not you being unreasonable. Now, if you have this standard and then it changes depending on the guy, that's not really a standard. Then yeah, you're being unreasonable, right? If you are able to get that standard, it's reasonable. Like if you're meeting men who meet the standard, then you are being reasonable. But if you're not, then you're kind of you might be being unreasonable. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying is that you have to set your boundaries, have your standards, and don't be talked out of them. Once you can do that, I guarantee you the way that you start feeling about yourself, the way that you start seeing yourself is going to be totally different. And all of this comes down to the psychology of the woman, how you truly feel about yourself. All this talk on social media about all these confident women and these secure women, no, they're not. A person who is heavily focused on other people, what and focused on and anxious and fearful about what they can get and getting their needs met, and they're having all these frivolous foo-foo conversations with no solutions, that is a telltale sign of of a woman who is deeply insecure. She's not confident in her own self. She's not confident in her decision making, and she's not confident in her judgment. So now she's trying to preempt that. Now she's trying to preempt that by saying, "You have to do X, Y, and Z. Give me X, Y, and Z in order for me to get with you." That is a woman who is not confident. She's insecure. That is the true reality of it. I don't care what type of front they're putting on, how good they're making it look. That is not a truly confident woman. That is a deeply insecure woman. She herself might be a bit narcissistic. So tune out everything that everyone is saying. This is stuff that nothing that you guys are hearing isn't anything that I did not tell my own daughter, right? These are conversations that I've always had with my daughter, is focusing on her developing in herself into a young lady that she can look into the mirror every single day and say, "I love me, I'm happy," no matter what's going on. Even if her world is crashing down, even if you're under a bridge, you got to sleep in your car, I don't care. You should be able to look at yourself and say, "I love me," even though you're recognizing that the reality that you're dealing with is not ideal. And that's where women need to get to, because when you can look in the mirror and you can say, "I love me," and no matter what, then no one can shake your confidence. And what's going to happen is you're going to start looking at men differently. You're going to develop a very low tolerance for men who mean you no good. And you're going to be able to let those men go very quickly, very soon. But women who have lack confidence in themselves, they lack confidence in their decision making, they don't trust themselves, they don't trust their judgment. They're always looking for people to make the decisions for them. And even if it's not outright, but it's like covertly, you want someone to make the decision. Meaning you need him to show you how you need to be treated. You want him to show you what you need and what you want. No, you need to figure that out for yourself. That way you can choose the men who are actually aligned with that. So one time a conversation about all of this. I was gonna have this conversation about all this first date stuff that's going on, like Cheesecake Factory lady and all that other stuff, because the dating world is it's getting turned upside down. So I kind of got a little off sidetracked because I wanted to talk to you guys about that. But Cheesecake Factory lady, don't let that be you. It was not a skit. She was on a podcast, and I listened to the podcast in its entirety. And they both admit that the guy said that they met somewhere and he saw her and he thought she was beautiful. And he was like, wow, all these guys are not checking for her. They're too intimidated by her. No, sir. That's where you failed. They were not intimidated by her. They already clocked her and realized the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. So they weren't even interested. Right. Um, I'm not going to get into why they weren't interested, but they weren't interested. Like when you're in the high end places and you are dressed like you have no class, and she already dresses like she doesn't have class. When you dress like you don't have class, men of those social circles, men with class, who are used to women with class are not going to approach you. It's just as simple as that. So it has nothing to do with they're intimidated. Successful men are not intimidated by women. They're definitely not intimidated by beautiful women. They see beautiful women on a daily, regular basis. They're not intimidated by beautiful women. I don't care if he's the ugliest man in the room. He'd be the ugliest man, but he'd be the richest man, and he has the highest confidence. He is not going to be intimidated by a beautiful woman. They're just not attracted to that woman. So she's taller, he's short, he's a non-select guy. He goes up to her, he approaches her, and she's like, oh, okay, the other men aren't talking to me, so this one will do. And in the conversation, he must have been saying something that sparked her interest. She felt like, oh, this could be all right. Well, I mean, I don't like him, but hey, I can get a nice date out of him, right? I can get a nice free meal out of him. So we see that skit play out online. And we know what ended up happening. He ended up taking her home because when he took her to the Cheesecake Factory, she basically showed her low class, low budget self, right? She was actually being who she actually is. So, no amount of soft voice, no amount of having these high, ridiculous standards that you don't even really live up to. Who you are really ends up coming out, right? So then on the back end of that skit, we have these lists that come out where women are talking about where you can't take me on the first date. Now, I'm not here to tell women what they should and should not want to go on a first date, but I'm going to say that if you have to put it out on social media about where you don't want to be taken, then that shows me that that's where men usually take you. And that signals that you are either messing up with high caliber men, that you can't qualify for those men. You can't get past the getting to know you, right? That initial talk phase of, pre-vetting to get to a first date. And so you're stuck with low caliber men. And then they're taking you to Applebee's, they're taking you to Olive Garden, right? In all of these conversations where these so-called gurus are talking about, you need to demand this, you need to demand that. And I'm like, you with a high caliber men, you don't have to demand anything. That's what they're going to do. That's just they take you places where they frequent, where they like to go, where their friends are gonna be, and they're going where everybody knows their name. They're gonna take you there, and guess what? He wants to show you off, right? He wants to show you off. So you are actually what that's signaling is that you're not meeting those men. You're meeting low caliber men. He may even wear some Gucci's or Louis Vuitton, but he's still a low caliber man. He's just a low caliber man who makes a little bit of money from time to time to where he can afford designer labels. And are those real labels or are they knockoffs? Right? But it's very, very telling. So ladies, if you want better, you have to do better. Right? I can't even imagine a man offering me Applebee's on the first date. I don't like Applebee's. I don't like their menu, but there's nothing wrong with it. But the fact of the matter is, the caliber of men that I'm around, that's not a place that they're going to take you for a first date. Even if it's not a 5-star or a Michelin star restaurant, which I don't really care for Michelin star restaurants, they're still going to put in effort to take you someplace nice. And they're going to want to take you where they go. And so these lists are just showing women that showing women and showing men especially that you're not getting what you want or what you think you deserve. So, ladies, helping you out with the first date or getting to the first date, I wrote this, a do's and don'ts guide. It's actually for men and women, right? It was my first publication. It was published August of last year. It has over 35 do's and don'ts in it. Um, what you do and don't do for a first date. This book can help you get from the first date to a second date, because it's not just about the first date, it's about the second date. And then it's to help you get through the first date. Like, you don't want to end up like Cheesecake Lady, right? He could have took her someplace nice, but she was an hour late, and then she showed that she, even though he tries to clean it up and say, well, Cheesecake Factory is someplace I really like to go and I go there for my birthday. No, sir, you chose Cheesecake Factory because, one, she walked out the house in that, for one, she was an hour late. Two, she walked out the house in that dress that looked like it was two sizes too small, and it came from Sheen. And then three, you already clocked that this is not a woman that you really wanted to marry. This is a woman that you just wanted. You were bored and lonely. You can't really get any dates because you're a non-select guy. And so she showed you some attention, but hey, you are not going to, because he could have chose another high-end restaurant. He could have went, and even still, he could have went to the restaurant and said, we missed our reservation. And if they had an opening, they could have went. But even still, he could have called another restaurant, right? But he didn't. He took her to Cheesecake Factory. So he took her there because she showed that she wasn't worthy. So, ladies, don't be like Cheesecake Factory lady. And don't be like that guy, except to tell her, you know what, I'm taking you home because I don't have time for this. But get a do's and don'ts guide. And you know what? I wrote in a company journal, right? There is a company journal where you can write your dates and your thoughts and stuff about your dates in the journal. And it also has some do's and don'ts. But so in the journal, the first do is B, show up on time. Make a good first impression that says you value time and good at managing your time. So she already flubbed that. She was not on time. She was an hour late. Had she had this, she would have known that you don't play these games on high value men. You know why she was showing up late, an hour late? Is because she's used to low caliber men, and she's used to men who see her as being out of their league and they're low caliber. They're situated in lower social economic class. They're figuring they have to jump through hoops for her. Or men who just want sex. Men will play the long game for sex. Men will sit around and wait for you an hour or 2 hours because they're like, listen, I just want to get some sex. So I'll bite that bullet, because at the end of the night or at some point during this, I'm gonna smash, because that's really what's about. A man who is looking for a relationship is serious. That behavior is only that behavior is going to get dealt with. And the way he dealt with her behavior was by taking her to Cheesecake Factory. That's what that was. He dealt with her by taking her to Cheesecake Factory. So you get what you earn, ladies. And if you're earning Cheesecake Factory and you want to go to STKs, well, then you're gonna have to do something about it. You're gonna have to get the book and get the journal. The first do of the book is do pick a place you both can enjoy. So, fellas, this is for you. Pick a place that you both can enjoy. But I don't see how a woman's not going to enjoy STKs or Nobu's or some steakhouse or some nice, a hot air balloon ride or a carriage ride in Central Park or something. I don't see how a woman is not going to enjoy something that you really, really put some thought and effort into. So if you're wondering where you can get the book and the journal, just go to Amazon.com. You can type in my name, Letitia Underwood, or you can type in the titles and it will pop up. You better get your copy now, because I don't know, something happened with all these dating skits and stuff, and all of a sudden my book has been published. It's being purchased. So I don't know if they'll run out because it's published through Amazon, but you better hurry up and get your copy. So the first date, ladies, don't get caught up out here showing people that you're not getting what you want. And getting online and acting entitled and acting like a spoiled princess is not going to get men to see you as something more than a spoiled, entitled B word. All of this, acting like he's got to do this and he's got to do that. Do you see me? That is not going to get you a good quality man. That's going to get you, that's going to attract a narcissist. That's why all of these beautiful women don't have men, right? That's why all these women who have this mindset and this thought process, they don't have men either. The reason why they don't have men either is because they're attracting wrong men. They all have these horror stories, right? All these women have these horror stories, right? Because they are attracting the wrong type of man. To get the right type of man, you have to have the right type of bait. And the bait is you, who you're being. Are you an authentic person? Are you a kind and considerate person? Right? Are you a feminine woman? This is why Kevin Samuels was saying that women need to be feminine. What is it? Feminine, fit, and friendly. Because men of value, they have a lot of value that they created for themselves. So you really can't give them anything, right? What can you give a man that has a lot of value? You give him you, but you as in you being fit, feminine, and friendly, because he's probably already educated. He's probably smarter than you, he's richer than you, right? He's richer than you, he's smarter than you, he's stronger than you. So what can you do for him? What can you give him, right? You could give him your fit body, right? You could give him your friendliness, your kindness, your consideration, your attractiveness, and your femininity, which comes through as your soft skills. So, all right, I'm going to close out there. Been on this for an hour. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. If not, then I'm going to go ahead and close out this live stream. I'm not sure if I'm going live tomorrow afternoon. That's why I went live today. If I do, you can join me for High Value Men Sunday. That's when I have my High Value Men guests on the panel, and we talk about what they want and who they are, right? So today was just really about focusing on the first date and letting people know that that's why you're not getting into a relationship. There are marriage-minded men out here. There are good, successful marriage-minded men out here, but they're not choosing you because you're not giving them something to choose. A lot of women are dropping the ball in the getting to know you part and on the first date. And that's why I wrote the book. That's why I ended up having to write the book, because I seen it with my clients. I seen women do it with my millionaire clients, where the getting to know you stage with my millionaire clients, and they were dropping the ball. And then just listening to women and men in the conversations, I was like, wait, you're not going to get a second date like that. You're not going to get to a relationship acting like that. So I wrote the book. And then I wrote the guide, the journal, so that you can track your dates and write your thoughts and feelings down and get in tune with your feelings and your emotions, ladies, because that is essential to your feminine journey, is being in tune with your emotions and your feelings. And then you can go over your dates in your week and see how you acted and do some self-reflection, some introspection, and change some things. Learn some things about yourself, right? Talk about your feelings. Talk about how you feel about these men in the dates in the journal. Don't talk about it on social media, because guess what? No one cares. Men certainly don't care. High value men don't care. They don't want to see that. That is a complete turnoff. Only the low caliber men care, because then it gives them energy for them to argue with you about it, right? And then high caliber men are only like, oh, she's only used to dating low budget, low caliber men. I wouldn't be bothered with her. That's a woman who doesn't make smart decisions. That is a woman who doesn't know how to choose properly. I can't have that woman in my life. That is a woman who likes drama. I can't have that woman in my life. So if you want better, you have to do better. And you can start. It's just start. It's not the whole thing. But you can start by getting the book. Go ahead and get your copy. Start there. Get the book. Learn how to get through the first date. Get through the getting to know you stage. Get through the first date. I promise you, it starts there, right? Get the book, get the journal, And make sure you like and subscribe. So if you're new to watching, make sure you go ahead and like the video. You subscribe to the channel. The channel is all about attracting, learning how to attract, date, and marry high value men who are in the top 5%. Top 5% puts them at approximately $350,000 a year. Those men are out there, and those men are looking for wives. But are you that somebody? Are you the one that they can say I do to for the rest of their lives? It can be you, but is it you? Right? So go ahead and get the book, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed the stream, go ahead and give me a like and share. Sharing is caring, and it's also beneficial to those who may benefit from what I had to say. And also, it helps the channel grow. The more people who subscribe to the channel, the more YouTube pushes me out there. So if you really believe in me, you really believe in my message, and you really think that I'm helping, help me help others by sharing. Okay. And with that being said, I am the matchmaker, Letitia Underwood, and I am signing off.